Confessions of an African President. The room was dimly lit, a single bulb swinging slightly as the evening breeze brushed through the partially open window. The old man sat slouched in his chair, a bottle of whiskey within reach and a tape recorder before him. His voice cracked like the pages of an old book. If anyone finds this, if anyone listens to this after I'm gone, know that everything I did for the country, or so I told myself. He muttered as if the confession was ripping itself out of him. He remembered the first words his mentor had told him years ago, back when he was just another ambitious student leader at the university. "You will rise, my son," the older man had said with a chilling smile. "But you must learn that a good politician doesn't just speak for the people, he must also learn to silence them." The president paused the tape recorder and stared at it, his hands trembling slightly. His rise to power had been meteoric, a young, charismatic leader full of promises of reform. He was the darling of the people, the voice of a new generation. But the reform had stopped at the gates of the palace. "I believed in it all once," he muttered into the recorder. "I believed we could build something new, but you can't plant crops in poisoned soil. The system eats you alive before you can even start digging." The memory of his first real test came flooding back. It had been an uprising in the northern region, farmers protesting land seizures for a multinational mining corporation. His chief of staff had stood by his desk, urgency in his voice. "Sir, if we let them march on the capital, it will embolden the rest of the country." The president had hesitated, his youthful idealism still intact. "They're asking for their rights," he had said, trying to hold onto his humanity. "Rights don't win elections, crushing them does." The pen had felt impossibly heavy as he signed the order. Soldiers were dispatched, and what followed was a massacre. They called it the Night of Broken Soil, hundreds dead, thousands displaced. He told himself it was necessary, told himself they were going to destabilize the country. But deep down, he knew the truth. The blood on the soil wasn't just theirs. It was his. His dealings with foreign powers were no less damning. Over expensive lunches in Paris or discreet meetings in dimly lit hotels, he had sold pieces of his country's soul. "We'll support your regime," a Western diplomat had told him over wine. "But we expect your cooperation in regional security. No surprises, no nationalism, and of course, keep the oil flowing." He had nodded, the sick feeling in his gut growing stronger. "We are not a free people," he told the recorder. "We are still colonies, only now the chains are invisible, made of loans, sanctions, and blackmail." The betrayals came in waves. Some were close friends, others barely acquaintances. The journalist who had uncovered his offshore accounts, the minister who had refused to sign a corrupt contract. Each had been eliminated with cold precision. His wife had confronted him once in the quiet of their bedroom, her voice trembling as she asked, "Do you ever feel empty?" He looked at her, feigning ignorance. "Empty? Like the man I married is gone, like you sold your soul to become king of ashes." Her words had cut deeper than any accusation from the press, but he laughed it off, burying the pain under layers of power and denial. The rebel leader was his most dangerous enemy, a fiery speaker from the southern jungles whose following grew by the day. They met secretly once, a rare moment of attempted diplomacy. "We're not so different, you and I," the president had said, swirling his drink in a glass that caught the dim light. "Don't insult me." The rebel leader shot back, his eyes burning with righteous fury. "I fight for the people, you fight for your own survival," the president smirked. "And you think you'd be any different if you sat in my chair? Power isn't pure. It's compromise, deals, and dirt. You'd sell out just like I did." The rebel leader stood abruptly, his voice like thunder. "I'd rather die standing than live on my knees." He was as good as his word. A car bomb killed him the following week. The death was blamed on rival factions. But the president knew the truth, and so did the whispers in the streets. The whiskey bottle was almost empty now, and the president's voice grew softer, more ragged. "They call me a father of the nation, a hero, a visionary. But in the quiet of the night, I hear them, the voices of the dead, the farmers from the north, the journalist, the rebel leader. They whisper to me, asking why, and I have no answer." Decades of corruption, betrayal, and bloodshed bore down on him as he slumped in his chair, staring at the recorder as if it could absolve him. "By the time anyone listens to this, I will be gone," he said at last. his voice breaking. Not because I fear judgment, but because I know it will never come. The next morning, his body was found in the study. A single gunshot wound to the temple. The tapes were leaked to the public months later, sparking outrage and protests across the country. Some called him a monster, others called him a martyr, but the system remained unchanged. Another man now sat in the palace, making the same promises, signing the same deals, and walking the same dark path. And so the cycle continued, forever feeding on itself, a nation trapped in the shadows of its own making. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to leave a comment and also subscribe to our YouTube channel, TrenderHQ.